Welcome to the Red Hot Mic. It's another edition. Come on in this house. Come on in this house where it's warm, because we got some things to talk about today. We want to talk about finding a high value mate. Come on. It's time for us to ruminate, elevate, and to activate. So please hit that like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And then also, I want you to put it in the comments. Come on, I want you to come in. We got our contact information scrolling underneath the page. Get in touch with us so we can know where to send the link so that you can come on the chat with us. I'd love to have you on the chat. Come on in here. Come on in this house. It's warm. It's warm. I know it's warm outside. In some places where you may be, it may be a little warm. Click here. Maybe a little warm. But still with that, come on in this house. Because sometimes we just need a place where we can just find a place where we can just cultivate. And that's what we do here at the Red Hot Mic. Come on in this house. Let's do this. Let's do this. One more time. I need you to do this right here. Please, 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 like, subscribe. It doesn't take a lot to subscribe to a channel. Just hit the channel and subscribe to it. You don't have to tune in if you don't want to. But just help us promote the algorithm so that we can reach more and more people. That would be assistance, real help to us, and we would very much appreciate it here at the Red Hot Mic. And listen, here's a toast to the best of you and in you. As usual, we drink pomegranate juice because it's a helpful antioxidant. All right. I was told some other things about it too, but it escapes me right now. But anyway, I have to toast to your wholeness, right? I enjoy toasting to your wholeness. And then when we get to this place where we try to do some things in homage to someone that we really, really appreciate a lot, and that's Mr. Kevin Samuels. And what we do is we have our candle of the evening, which is called Amber Sakai. Amber Sakai. And it is a scented candle. And let's see. It does smell good. I lit it a little bit before the show to just get a feel for it. And it does smell really, really well. I can't cite what it smells like yet, but it'll come to me. I do smell like an amber. There is also a woodsy smell. I like woodsy smells. I like outdoorsy smells. I like watery or smells that come from the sea. I just like outdoorsy kinds of scents. It brings back that animalistic kind of freedom that we have. Okay, so anyway, that's our scent of the evening, and we've shared this particular. I should say that's our candle of the evening. Our scent of the evening is something else that I've worn a few times, and I do like it, and it's called Prada Luna Rosa. Prada Luna Rosa is a slide cool cologne featuring the cleansing cold fire of sage and spearmint, along with a natural peppery spice, fresh lavender, crisp orange citrus, and a tangy musk highlight the aromatic feel. And it is excellent. I would highly recommend Prada Luna Rosa to anyone that would be listening. It is a very, very seductive, very, very noticeable scent that I don't think people will not notice. My handkerchief keeps going south on me. But it's one of those scents that I think that it's good for evening wear. It's good for everyday work wear as well. But it is an excellent scent. All right. Thank you once again for coming into the house. We very much appreciate it and need you to come into this house because in this house, what we're gonna do is it's the Red Hot Mic season. See it over my shoulder. It's the Red Hot Mic season, and what that means is there's a new season of us moving to another place, into another area. We have new ideas. Anytime you see this, it means it's a new idea, a new way of thinking. You know, I was told um, by a young lady that my way of thinking is old-fashioned or old school. Um, I say this to you, young lady. One thing I've learned is that even if I don't agree with those that are old school or older, I've learned to be respectful. And if nothing else, learn to be respectful. Anyway, but let's go. We're gonna get to what we need to get to, as we always do, right? It's our time to get into what I call the answer wheel. We love doing the answer wheel because what the answer wheel does for us, it allows us to do something and add a portion to the program that we are able to get out the way and make room for spirit. I think that's important. I think that's important that you be able to make room for spirit to get involved in what's going on in your program, especially here at the Red Hot Mic, because the things that we're dealing with are come from a place of a spiritual enlightenment. It's not doing what you want to do. It's doing what is lawful, what is orderly, what is proper, what is right. And so, you know, I started this channel, and I always had the idea of keeping certain aspects separate from this channel. And more I see things creeping in, and I think it's not so much my doing is beyond my control, if you would. And so, but I'm okay with it, and I hope you are too. But I want to just say to everyone that's tuning in, I very much appreciate you being here on the Red Hot Mic, and we want to go to the answer wheel. Now, the answer wheel is designed for you to get an answer to a query, a situation, a question that you may be toiling with and have been toiling with for a while. And so what it does, it gives the universe the opportunity, let me get rid of some of this light, gives the universe an opportunity to speak to you specifically, not me. But what we do is we use something that's very, very, very elementary, if you would. And the elementariness of it is the simplicity of it, which gives us a means of us really tapping in to that of the spirit. Because I'm a firm believer that the things of the spirit are very elementary, and for many of us, very elementary and very simplistic. And so, if you can open your heart and your mind, what you're getting ready to experience would allow you to answer that question. I'm not answering it. I'm not giving you yes, no, no. I'm not giving you any answer. I'm giving you what I believe that you believe. I can believe what you believe, whatever you believe. For some of you, you may not believe that this is the Bible means of getting answers. Then you're right. I agree with you. But then there's some of you out there that really do believe that this is a way for you to get the answer that you've been looking for, to get the confirmation or the assurance that you have been looking for relative to your particular situation, and that particular situation that you have been toiling with. You don't know what to do about it. You're not sure to stay or to go. You're not sure whether to give or to take. You're not sure what to do. So what we do is we give the answer wheel a turn. And the answer wheel, again, as we always say, has 6 answers. No way, definitely, maybe, yes, ask a friend, or try again. And so when we do give the answer wheel a turn, what we do is we wait for it to stop. And that's what we're going to do right now. Give it a little turn, and hopefully it doesn't take too long to stop, because sometimes it does. And believe it or not, sometimes it stops right in the middle. And so when that happens, what we do is we give it another turn, but no more than 2 times, and then we just going to have to move on, because we could be here all night, day or afternoon or evening, whenever you're watching the program. So This program, we're going to be talking about finding a high value mate. There's a lot of conversation out there about high value men, high value this, high value women, high value this, high value that. And so, what we want to do here on the Red Hot Mic is we want to address that particular issue. Now, the answer wheel says tonight, on this program tonight, this afternoon, this evening, no way. No way. So that means whatever situation you find yourself in, the answer is no way. When the universe says there's no way, that means that there's no way that serves not that serves, but that would be the right way in which the universe is saying, do this. It's saying no way that is right, but there's always going to be a way that seems right in your own eyes. But when the universe says no way, that means there's no way on this side at this particular time or junction. It doesn't mean it won't change. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be different down the road. But currently at this time, see, one of the things that we fail to realize is the importance of timing. One of the things that we talk about in development is chronological. We talk about chronological development. We have to learn how to develop in chronologically and to understand not only chronologically in ourselves, but in our environment and what's going on. Because sometimes chronologically, timing becomes very, very important. It may be the right answer, but the wrong season. It may be the right season, but not the right timing. So we have to understand what the universe is saying. When the universe says there's no way, the timing is not right? The season's not right? Or even the persons may not be right. There's a whole lot of things that come into question. So we need to be able to be open to the universe relative to accepting that answer that says no way. Not right now. Not right now. When we get the answer no way, I tell people all the time, the best thing to do is to just stay put where you are. Don't do anything. Don't try to change anything. Don't try to change anything. Don't try to change anything until you get a green light relative to are you to move now. See, because timing and season, like I said, is very, very critical in us getting and achieving what we are supposed to get or achieve. So that's important, very, very important when we start talking about those things. Now, like I said, today's program is something that I think that's very, very meaningful, very, very important. And being that it's very, very meaningful and very, very important, I think it's probably one of the things that is being talked about the most. I'm going to try to use some things that help you glean a little bit more. I'm going to put in here, I'm going to add to the screen a PowerPoint presentation. Now, I know some people say, I don't hate no PowerPoint presentation. This is not school. Well, life is school. And being that it is school, we want to be able to help you in whatever way that we can. And the way that we can with this program is to teach, to discipline, to enlighten, and hopefully to help you move to another level in whatever it is that wherever you are. So hopefully that's what you'll get. And I think I'm going to keep this music, but I'm gonna make it a little bit. I'm gonna make it a little lower, and it'll keep playing. And we're going to use that as a means for us to move forward. All right. So the first thing we want to understand about the whole idea of finding a mate, because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at finding a mate or finding a high value mate. See, that's the thing. The problem is we have taken or tried to make other things what it's not. And so we've got to learn to find. And the way we find is not by going here and there, but you got to already know where you're supposed to be and what the other person is supposed to be in sync and in synchronization with you relative to moving forward, being successful. So many people are not successful because you had the wrong mate, and you didn't use the ways that the universe would have you to go about finding a mate. So here we go. We want to find a mate for sure, but we also want to find the right mate. So here's what I want to talk about first. The first thing we want to talk about is when we start talking about marriage. One of the things I think that's very important is marriage. Not shacking up, but marriage, because marriage allows and calls for us to be committed. And the commitment of marriage, a lot of folks think it's civil. It's not civil. Some of us think that it's a partnership. It's not a partnership. That's the problem. Because when we look at marriage as a partnership, basically what we're saying is that it's a business. Marriage is not a business. It's not a business. It's much, much more than a business. Marriage is a union, right? It's a culmination. It's a coming together. I sent out, I always send out things on my Facebook page, and often some of the things that I send out, I get some different kinds of reactions, believe me, to them. But one of the things I talked about today that I think is very, very important is this. Let's see if I can find it real quick for you. Because I was looking at and thinking about the idea of marriage. And it says this. It says marriage isn't a business, a religious covenant, nor a civil act. Now here, I want you to understand some things. I just told you that it's not a business. Because in a business, what we're looking for is someone to commit to certain parts, and you commit to certain parts. And if one of you do not fulfill those expectations or parts, then we look to dissolve the partnership. But marriage is not a partnership, because sometimes you're going to be doing more than necessary. Sometimes the other person is going to be doing more than necessary, because that's what this relationship calls for. It's not business. And it's because of business and treating it such that divorce is so high. Marriage is so low. Why get married to a partner that at any moment will end the relationship based on on an expectation that they have that may or may not be appropriate? So marriage it is not a business. It is not a partnership. Secondly, it is not a religious covenant. This is what they want to make it as a covenant. And all a covenant it really is basically the same thing as a mutual agreement. Basically, a religious partnership. So if it's not a partnership, it's not a religious partnership either. Right? So it's important to understand that, if you really look at it, the religious ceremony of a wedding is the culmination of the religious and the secular. What do I mean? It's the next thing, the third thing that it's not. It is not a civil act. Okay? Marriage, if you go down to City Hall and get married and sign a license, that's a civil act. Right? But a civil act, marriage is not a civil act. Now it will make you lawful within the confines of whatever state, province, or wherever you are. But if we're looking at the foundation and the purpose of marriage, it is neither business nor partnership. It's neither religious covenant nor is it a civil act. It's not. That's the problem. We're trying to make it something that it's not. And because of that, we're finding ourselves in what we're in the predicament we're in. Because it says here on our slide, it says that marriage in the United States is 5.1 per thousand. 5.1 per thousand. And the most married age group is between the ages of 25 and 30. The lowest group or culture to get married is black people, which have the lowest rate of marriage. Black females have the highest, or I should say, black females initiate the highest rate of divorce as well. So black women are the least married and the most divorced. I'll say that again. Black women are the least married and the most divorced. So the statistics say 1 out of 4 black women would marry. But yet, even with that, they still have the highest rate of divorce than any other cultured woman on the globe. That's a sad thing. Also, to go along with that, blacks' divorce rate is higher than their marriage rate, which is really, really understandable. But getting back to what I was saying, what marriage is it? So if I'm telling you what marriage isn't, I need to tell you what marriage is, and then we'll move forward. Because I think understanding marriage becomes very, very important. Because there's going to be good times and bad times. There's going to be people that do things wrong, and there's going to be rights and wrongs within a marriage. It's going to happen. If you think that you're going to go into a relationship and there's not going to be problems, then you should not get married. Because the bottom line is, marriage calls for forgiveness. It calls for forgiveness. And the willingness to forgive. And if we don't have that, then we probably will never have a relationship, because every relationship calls for some degree of forgiveness. With marriage is a higher degree. Because people have to develop and grow and change. Why? Because marriage is none of the things that I mentioned. It's not a business. It's not a partnership. It's not a religious covenant. It's not a civil act. But what marriage is a union. Two becoming one. It's a union. It's a convergence of coming together and becoming one. Marriage is a unique entity. Marriage is unrepeatable. Never to be replicated or imitated. Every marriage is different. And that marriage has to be governed by the convergence, the union, and the type of entity that it's become. And that can only be between the two that are becoming one. That's how it happens. Now, I'm doing something different here, so bear with me. Bear with me if you would. Okay. One of my slides is missing, but that's typical. But I want to say this as we move forward. When we start looking at marriage, the first thing that we need to understand is this. There are different types of relationships. And we all understand that. And understanding that there are different types of relationships, we have to understand that there are masculine and feminine relationships. They interact with one another, right? And it's important that we understand that truth. That our type of individual personalities come into question. But there are different types of relationships. Let's see if I can find it here. Because I tell you, So when we start talking the type of relationships that are out there, there's first family relationships. Some of these that I'm going to mention are on the slide. There are family relationships. And that means family in the sense of immediate family. When you come into a marriage, that marriage is your immediate family, and the immediate family takes precedence over all other relationships. All other relationships. And if we don't understand that, or we're not in agreement with that, then what we probably should do is not get involved. So when we start talking about relationships, family is the most important. Then the next thing is what I call that it's not on here, but it's clan. See, what we've got to understand is this. Marriage requires certain individuals to be involved for it to be a family. For it to be a family, because family is the result of marriage that incorporates two binary individuals. Binary meaning masculine, feminine. Those are the only two energies in this universe. Masculine, feminine. Now, what we're hearing nowadays is some folks saying that they're non-binary. I'm not here to debate that, but I'm here to assert that there are two energies. Binary, bi meaning two. And there's masculine and feminine. Now, in a family, there has to be a masculine and a feminine, a mother and a father, then children. Now, let's say that there is a mother with no children, or a father. Let's say a mother with children but no husband, or a husband with children with no wife. That is not a family. You're not going to like it, but it's not a family. A family requires a husband, a wife, and children. Why is that important? Because of the binary energies that both possess and bring into the relationship that causes it to converge, that causes it to unify, and causes it to be one. If there is a mother without a husband, or a mother without a father and children, then the children are missing the masculine piece necessary for them to appropriately grow and to develop. And vice versa of that same coin. If there is a father that has children with no mother, then the children will miss the necessity of the feminine energy that's necessary for their development, their proper and full development. So what do we have then? We have a clan. We have kindred. We have kin. We have blood relatives, but it is not a family. It's not a family. Not intimately. Extensively, it's the same way as it would be with anyone outside of our extended family. Okay? But it's not really what we call extended family, but it's really just our kinfolk, our kindred, right? Because the bottom line is that in order to have a family, there needs to be two, a husband and wife. So we have blood relatives, but they are not our immediate family. Okay. Now, the next thing is acquaintances. We have acquaintances. You know, the problem is some people call acquaintances friends when they're really not friends. We've got to learn the difference between acquaintances and friends. Acquaintances are people that know you, that you may frequently be in the same environment with, and you may even have some similar things that you enjoy together. But those are just acquaintances. You just know them by, and maybe it's church, or maybe it's through an organization that you both are a part of, or a club. But we really don't have a friendship, because friendship goes beyond acquaintances. Friendship goes to the very intimacy of knowing a person and looking out for what's best for that person as an individual. That's a friend. Friends don't use friends. You heard the old adage, friends don't let friends drive drunk. Friends don't do anything that would harm their friends. But if they are, and if they would allow you to do things that would harm yourself, they're not friends. They are acquaintances. Understand the difference. Understand the difference. Then another relationship is romantic relationship. Now, relationships that are romantic can serve so many different purposes. And those things have to be defined by the two people that are entering that romantic relationship. Some people will tell you this is right and that's wrong and this and that and the other. But the bottom line is you have to identify what's going to work in your relationship and be okay with that. Okay? You have to be okay with that. And not make assumptions on what you think a relationship should look like. If you have a relationship and you think that it should look a certain way and not spoken that to the person that you're entering into a relationship, your expectations are unrealistic. They're unrealistic. They're not fair. The person hasn't had a chance to agree or disagree, because that's what it needs to happen. If you have expectations and those are unagreed upon, it's not fair. Because maybe that person say no because of that particular stipulation. I don't think this will be a relationship that will work for me. And so they need to have the opportunity to be able to leave that relationship. As you would too if the shoe was on the other foot. So we need to be able to have space to stay or leave in the relationship. We have the popular thing that relative to relationships that have been entered is things like situationships and entanglements, right? These things that people are using as a means to do what they want to do, to excuse themselves from improper or at least unagreed upon behaviors. There's some popular people out there that have done some things that most of us would say that no, that's not something that's appropriate. Well, if that's something that they agreed upon within their relationship, what do we have to say about it from a relationship standpoint? Now, there's a whole issue of right and wrong, but the right and wrong is agreed upon before we get into a relationship. Okay, before we get into a relationship. Okay, let's move on. Now, when we look at marriage, there's different types of marriages that are out there now. I put these three up here: co-laborship, helpership, and then just plain marriage. But I want to talk about some types of marriage that we're seeing more and more out there. Polygamy. Now, what is polygamy? Polygamy is more than one mate. And we're seeing more and more of that. Now, why is that a relationship that would be very, very difficult? It's difficult because you have different agreements. There's health situations that could come into play. There's the idea that you may favor one over the other. There's no way that you can have equal commitment to two different people. You don't have equal commitment to your own children, let alone to your someone that you're in a marriage with. So polygamy is a dicey game. Now, some people say that they prefer it, and that's how they want to do it from different perspectives. Maybe from a business perspective, from an economic perspective, from a sexual preference too. Maybe you have people that are into different types of sexual practices, and this gives them the freedom to be able to do that as well, depending on how that relationship is grouped, whether it's two men and one woman or it's two women and one man. So it depends. So polygamy. Monogamy, which is the most common in marriage globally, and that is one husband and one wife. And what that does is allow for less of the problems that polygamy will have. Some people think that polygamy is more acceptable and more of a has more advantages. Most of us would disagree. Polyandry. Polyandry is two or more, when one wife has two or more husbands. That can present problems. That can present problems if you're spending more time with one than the other. There was a movie that I've watched. I'm not sure what the name of it was. Oh, I do remember the name of it. It's called SWAT. And in the movie, or in the series, it's a TV series, one of the characters was in a relationship where there was polyandry, and however it was actually it was polygyny. It was polyandry because there would been two women and one man, so it was polyandry, and the woman that was joining it was having issues because she thought she was a lesbian, and she wanted the relationship with the woman, but she wasn't sure if she wanted it with the man. But eventually, it come out that she found herself to be bisexual, and then they had a relationship, but eventually the relationship ended. But that's how it presents problems. Okay, these type of multi husband and wife relationships cause problems, whether it's polygyny or polyandry. Now, there's another thing called commonwealth marriage, which is an unlicensed marriage. It's an uncivil. It's not civil marriage. It means you don't go downtown and get a license, but the law civilly does cover it if you've been together for a certain amount of time. It says that you're common law. It should say common law marriage. It's unlicensed. It's unlicensed. You don't have to go downtown, but yet there are some rules that cover it. If you're a common law and you've been together for a certain amount of time, then that marriage is considered legal. Then there is what we call the civil marriage, which means that you don't have to have a religious marriage. You can go down to the city hall and do the civil thing and get the paperwork done, and as a result of that, you're married. Another type is interracial marriages, which we're seeing beginning to increase more and more. Now, what we have to understand is that with the interracial comes different cultures, and the cultural dynamic can take on a very weighty piece, especially if the interracial marriage has religious connotations attached. And those religious connotations can weigh on a marriage if one agrees with those religious practices and the other one doesn't. It could present some serious problems. Now, there's other things: finances, sexual practices, work and employment, business, all kinds of things that can come into interracial marriages, just like any other marriage, and present difficulties. But one thing that we understand is that in a mixed marriage, there is the ability to expand one's horizons, to expand one's knowledge and awareness and acceptance of another culture. So there are some positives, some pros. Just like anything else, there are pros and cons with interracial marriage. The next one is group marriages. Now, group marriages means there are multiple mates. Now, there's many different reasons why that can present a problem, and you can think of a myriad of them. What from childbirth to children to finances to just a myriad of different problems. You can think of them yourself, I'm sure. The next one is open marriage. People have open marriages and they practice them. I was looking at Ozzy and Ruby Davis that had supposedly had an open marriage. And as they've gotten older, they did have issues relative to their open marriage and kind of backpedaled on some of that as opposed to when they were younger. And a lot of people do that. And there's other marriages, interfaith. We talked about that a little bit. Is like, kind of like interracial. There's arranged marriage, and that's what used to be the main way of getting married. Arranged marriages, and arranged marriages means that it depends on the parental guidance that whether the marriage can be a workable one or not. But because when you have mature men and women as parents looking out for the best interests of their children and understanding the roles of marriage in a way that's functional and successful, they can be very helpful for their children. Very helpful in helping their children make that choice, because the choice of a mate is a very, very important one. Probably the most important decision that you'll make before it's the most important decision that you'll make. Okay, so it's important that if you see that your marriage is, or you're not capable of making those kind of decisions, then maybe you want to help to get an arranged marriage. Now, sometimes that can be a dangerous proposition, because sometimes the parents don't have the best motive in mind, and as a result of that, they have other ulterior motives that has nothing to do with the two getting married, but it could be business, money, access to other things as a result. So you have to be careful with that as well. But arranged marriages, from a biblical standpoint and from other cultures around the world, this is the primary way of marriage, of getting married. And in some places it works, and in others it doesn't. The next one is fixed marriages. Fixed marriages means that they are married for a certain amount of time, and then they reassess whether they want to continue to be married. And if they don't, they move outside or dissolve the marriage. Now, the reason that can present a problem is that what happens when there's things that have been accumulated in the marriage? How does that go about? Is that something that is talked about and discussed throughout the process? Who gets what if we dissolve the marriage? Those kinds of things. What if we want the same things? Who gets it and who doesn't? All kinds of things like that. And then the last one that I want to talk briefly about is the celestial marriage. Now, celestial marriages are, to some people, may seem a little far-fetched, a little weird, but they're more for people that are in certain belief systems that think that once they marry to someone, that they're always married to them eternally. And I'm not going to go any further than that to say, because there are some people that believe that, and I'm not going to come against your belief system. But if that's the way you choose to get married, then that's totally up to you. Now, if we're going to talk about marriage, let's look at what we got coming up here next. Again, we talked about the binary and the non-binary already a little bit. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit and talk about what binary is. Okay, when we start talking about binary, there's two. Again, we talk about binary, two, masculine, feminine. Okay, so when we start talking about masculine, what we're talking about is it is not gender. It's important to understand that masculine energy is not gendered. It's not gendered. It's celestial. It's spiritual. It's not earthy. Okay. And it deals with functionality and operation. Always how it functions. Because in understanding how it functions, it gives us the idea of how lawful, how right, how proper it is to do what it does. Okay, but understanding that masculine binary energy is designed to do specific things, and we have it here: to penetrate, to pierce, to inject, to insert, to initiate, and to stab. Okay, that's what these energy. This is what masculine, 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 with an E, with an E. Okay, it's important that we remember that masculine energy is designed to penetrate, pierce, inject, insert, initiate, and to stab. That's what masculine energy does. Don't get it twisted. This is not gender. It's functional. It's operational. Now, feminine energy, there's binary, masculine, feminine. There's only two. There's yin and yang, on and off, hot, cold, in, out, on, off. All of these are binary because binary is the foundation of all energy source that operates in this realm. And it's designed by the universe that way. Everything else is your mindset. But binary, feminine binary energy is designed to receive, incubate, nurture, and to secure. That's incredibly important. And I say it all the time. Masculine and feminine energy are equal, but not the same. Equal, but not the same. That's important for us to understand. Okay. So let's look at what the definition of a woman, because what we need to understand is when feminine energy, that binary energy, comes into this realm called the earth, feminine drops the E and puts on the ITY, which means the degree or the science of feminine. The science of femininity. Oh, it's femininity. Feminine becomes femininity because it's the science of feminine. And how feminine is to operate in this realm in which we are in. Okay? Now, we've got to understand this. When we start talking about masculine and feminine energy, because of the way it's designed, because masculine energy inserts, injects, initiates, it pierces, right? But to come into this sphere, it can pierce to come into this realm. But this realm, feminine cannot, because feminine does not pierce, right? Feminine receives, it incubates, right? It secures, right? So in order for feminine to enter this sphere, it needs assistance. It needs assistance from masculine. Masculine covers. See, masculine always covers her. You cover her, which means you secure her. You protect her. You defend her. So masculine enabled feminine to enter into the sphere. And then feminine was released to be fulfilled in this sphere as femininity. And masculine was released in this sphere to become masculinity. And the two are equal, but not the same. They equally need each other, but are not the same. Now, you're not going to hear this from everybody. They want to argue and fuss and fight, but I hear people, what is a woman? What is a woman? You know what the real question it is? What is femininity? What is femininity? Because before you can answer the question, what is a woman, you have to, as I just did, answer the question, what is femininity? It is the science of feminine. It is the science of feminine. Femininity talks about the degrees of feminine. We didn't talk about it. It talks about the degrees of femininity. What's involved in femininity? It's the problem. That's the problem that we have, because we don't know what femininity is. We want to go from being a baby to straight being a woman. I'm a woman. not knowing that there's stages and phases that need to be understood. So what is a woman? Let's look at it. The first thing is in the Latin, it comes from femina, which means feminine. Okay. It also, we get the womb man, womb or wombed man, or woe, which means out of. So out of man comes womb man or wombed man. Equal, but not the same. Equal, but different. What's the difference? She has a womb. And that womb is the femininity piece. By virtue of having the womb, if you look at the receiving, if you look at the receiving, the incubation, the securing, okay, these are feminine, and it is what separates woman from man. So woman, or the woe, means to come out of man. And it also means in the Hebrew language, it is the word Issa, which means woman, wife, or female. Now, here's the difference. When we start talking about woman, and I say this to people all the time, a woman is a wife, and a wife is a woman, but a female is neither. We're going to get into that as we go on to better explain it. And I'm not sure we're going to see. There it is right there. What is a woman? What is a woman? A woman is a wife, and a wife is a woman, but a female is neither a woman or a wife. Why? Because the stages and phases of growing from girlhood to womanhood. You don't just become a woman because of chronological accomplishment. You become 18. There are plenty of 18-year-olds that are not women. There are many 18-year-old males that are not men. So chronological age, though a factor, is not the tell-all and be-all. But listen to what I'm saying. A woman is a wife. Why? Because she's developed through stages and phases. And we're going to get into a little bit of it. Through stages and phases of understanding that in order for her to be a woman, she is going to be cultivated to be a wife. And a wife can only be a woman because she too is cultivated as a woman. But a female is neither because she's uncultivated. She has not reached the proper phases and stages of being and reaching womanhood. Oh, a female should never marry. A female's marriage will never prosper. Only a woman is a wife. A female is not a wife, nor is she a woman. As a man is a husband, and a husband is a man, but a male is neither a husband nor a man. It's the same on the other side of the coin. So I'm not picking on you ladies. It's the same side. It's the same thing on the other side of the coin. Because what we're talking about how to find a high value mate. How do you find a high value mate? Ladies, listen, I need to tell you this. You never get on your knee to propose. That is a masculine concept. Getting on your knee to propose, to dropping to a knee to propose, it designates a choosing, a commitment to. A woman doesn't do that. That dropping of a knee is a masculine concept. Is a masculine practice. It is not feminine. Listen, guys, if a woman drops to her knee and presents you with the ring, if you say yes, you will be the lesser of that relationship. You will be feminine for the whole of that relationship. So, if that's okay with you, then that's okay with you, because that's not a man. That's a male. That's a male. Okay? So, it's important to understand that particular issue. Okay, the next thing is, we hear people all the time. They recite that biblical scripture. When a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. It's in Proverbs 18, verse 22. It says, "Whosoever finds a wife finds a good thing and obtain favor of the Lord." Now, I know I'm bringing some things in here but it's about finding the right mate for you, and it's no way that I can just do this separately and do it in right conscience. So it says, "Whosoever findeth a wife." Okay. See, and the thing is what I said before. A wife is a woman. So you have to understand that a wife is a woman and a woman is a wife. So she's got to be developed. And in the areas that she has to be developed in, I have other videos that I talk about it. I may go a little further in it, but for right now. But what we've got to understand is that when you find something, okay, it's important to understand that when you find something, it's not so much finding. Okay, the finding is basically stumbling upon. See, because when you stumble upon something, it's because you're doing something that you're supposed to be doing, and it comes into your sphere totally by accident. It's not something that you arranged. It's not about her lips, hips, and fingertips. It's much more than that. Because everyone is born with what we call purpose. And if her purpose coincides with yours, then you have the masculine purpose and the feminine purpose, which means the fulfillment of purpose. You don't try to convince her or anything like that. What you want to do is investigate whether she is the feminine to your purpose. Is she the yin to your yang? That's what you have to find. But if she is, you found a good thing. You found a good thing. A thing is not a person. She's not a thing. But the connection is the thing. The connection in purpose, the connection in understanding what you're supposed to do as a man, her, and as a husband, and her as a woman and as a wife. And knowing what purpose is, not just in that relationship, but in what you are supposed to be doing with your life. What you are supposed to be doing. Your life should go like this. Not her over here doing her thing and you over here doing your thing. Because what's going to eventually happen is somebody's going to come and try to hook up with. That's when problems happen. That's not your husband. That's not your wife. And some people will pose that they have that connection and not really have it because they have ulterior motives. And once they get what they want, they move on, right? So when that good thing that you find is that connection, right? That convergence that we talked about earlier, that union that we talked about earlier. See, it's not about it's not about a piece of paper. It's not about a religious covenant or connection. It's not about a partnership. It's about a convergence. See, when you have the feminine and the masculine of the same thing, there's a convergence. There's a unity. There's a oneness. But if we don't have that, and she's doing her thing and you're doing yours, then there's going to be problems. Okay? So, a man finds wife, he doesn't. Right? He doesn't. Everything, everywhere, and always has a distinct and specific purpose. The two of you have that distinct purpose of purpose feminine, purpose masculine. It's the same purpose, but you need that feminine to your masculine. You need that yang to your yin, or the yin to your yang, however you want to put it. But you need each other. You're equal, but not the same. It's not a partnership. It's an amalgamation. It's a coming together. It's a union. It's a one, two becoming one. Okay. And so everything, everywhere. Okay, so again, to everything, there is a season and a time and to every purpose under the sun. You hear that? There's a season, there's a time for every purpose under the sun. So that season and time coming together becomes critical in understanding purpose under heaven. Under heaven means in this realm. But what is purpose? Because most of us don't even know what purpose is. What is purpose? Purpose is the original idea, intent, or intention, aim, or objective, or goal, or goal of a thing. It's the reason for it being. Why are you being, sir? Why are you being, man? It's a feminine. You need to insert. You need to be inserted. You need to carry that seed. Anytime you find a woman, a wombed man, a woman, she has the capability of carrying seed. Now, a female carries a fetus. A fetus talks about the baby. See, the focus is on the baby, and that's what we have in our culture now. That's my baby. That's mine, because it's a female perspective. A woman understanding womb, and the womb is for nurturing, right? It's for incubating and bringing about. Now, that can be anything. It's not just children, because women have a womb it's in their mind, it's in their bodies, in their soul. Everything about her is a woman, and it's about womb. She can take in a womb, it nurtures, and in time brings about a certain thing. If you give her a home, if you give her a house, she'll give you a home. You bring her groceries, she'll give you a meal. Because her womb, she is created to multiply, add, and divide. She never subtracts. Females subtract. Because a female will take and say that is her child, subtracting the masculine. So a woman adds, she multiplies and divides, but a female subtracts. Okay, so it's important to understand when we talk about purpose, we're talking about there was an idea that you are. There's a reason, an intention, a goal, an aim for you being here. Now, what is it? We help people find that purpose question and action. Why are you here? What are you supposed to be doing? There's a reason for it. We talk about that in one of my books. You can go to my website and it talks about the 26 concepts. I believe it's 26 concepts of purposeology. So you can go there and look at that as well. All right. So now the question becomes, what is the purpose of marriage? Let's look at it. Okay, so what we did here is talked about the purpose of there's a lot there. There's so much there. And we're not going to go into it all right now because there's so much good stuff in here. There's so much good stuff here. I can't not. I have. Well, what we'll do is this. I'm going to make a second part. I'm gonna make a second part because we've been at this over an hour, and I want to come back and I want to talk about the purpose of marriage. I want to talk about the stages and phases of masculinity and femininity development. These are critical. These are so critical. But we've gone over time. I'm going to stop here and pick it up in our next video. Anyway, being that we're going to stop there, I want to thank you for being a part of the broadcast and ask that you would, as usual, that you would like, subscribe, comment, and hit the notification bell. Please subscribe. I need you to subscribe to the channel. We've been doing this, and we're going to continue to do this, and it's going to catch on eventually, and I want you to be a part of that. So I'm asking you, if you would, be so kind to subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe to the channel, I will be forever grateful, forever grateful. Now, what we're talking about right now how to find a high-value mate. This is part 1. We're going to come right back with part 2. And I'm hoping that you'll gain something out of it. Listen, I would love to hear your comments. Scrolling underneath the page, you'll see our contact information. Email us. You see on the page under my name, you see our Twitter handle. On our Twitter handle, on our Twitter page, you'll see the link to our broadcast. I would love to have you come on board, be a part of the broadcast, comment, discuss, talk, whatever you want, respectfully, because it's important that we gain a better understanding. I know some of you that are on my Facebook page, I've heard so many things. You're hard. You don't like women. You don't understand. I know the difference between a woman and a female. I know the difference between a male and a man. I know the difference. So let's talk about it. Let's get to know each other. And again, here's to your wholeness. Until the next time we meet, G. Albert Palmer. Peace.